Hey there, it's Amanda Creative Gardener, but then you know because you're on my Creative Gardener channel. Anyway, so I'm going out in the garden. I'm just going to give you a quick update today. Yesterday we had our mahogany tree cut back quite a bit, and there's lots of leaves and branches that have come from it. There's lots of things that I want to do with it. It grows really quickly, so keeping them pruned is something that is essential. And where this one was particularly planted, not by myself, it's quite near the house, so you really do need to keep it under control. And do not plant mahogany trees close to the house. They destroy and can destroy the foundations, have really deep, thick roots. Anyway, so join me outside and we'll get an update for today. Come on, let's go. Here's my helper, laying down on the job. Anyway, so today, as I said, I'm going to do a quick update, but I'll also show you some of the things that have been done. So this has been cut back quite a bit from what it was, but within, say, the next couple of months, I'd even say a month, depending on the amount of rain we get, this will grow back, because it was like touching the tip of the house. And what they have here are rats, tree rats. Oh gosh, I never thought I'd be saying that so calmly. Tree rats. Anyway, so with a lot of the stuff that has been cut off, I'm going to be using it on some of the beds and around the garden, and it would also help keep the weeds down in certain areas. So, update. Cole, the dog. Yes, I'm talking about you. Anyway, so he has been dug a hole, made a big muddy puddle. So I've put this pallet here, but it doesn't actually look too bad when you step back, and when all of this is nice and tidy, it actually looks. But what I'm going to do is add the rocks which are around the garden, add some stones, and the grass will grow over it, and just put this marl and some smaller stones, and just make it smoother so he's not able to do it. Anyway, so this bit is all going out the front, and I'd ask the guy who cut the tree for some bits that I could chop up to use as a stepping stones, but concrete is typically used because it's not slippery. So what I'm going to do is try and cut this into sections and then use it in the art studio. And the other thing, I've never tried carving, but you know, maybe I could do some carving as well. Just low level. Okay, so let's go over to the main part. Okay, so I climb over my makeshift fence. So I've cleared quite a bit. That's some of the residue. We've got some fungus on the branches. You can see it there, a white fungus. I'm not sure whether they can be treated, and I don't necessarily want to spread it, so I have to still do my research on what to do. It's just rained, so it's quite slippery, so I need to be careful. And these bits I had been, as he was cutting, I was cutting some of the smaller branches off, and sorry, let me come out. Yeah, so I've been clearing this, and I've been putting it on the beds. Just go over it again, being careful. It has rained quite a bit. So what happens is, I'm not preaching to the converted here. Anyway, so what happens is that it's going to break down. So you've seen how I've built up some of the beds. I've used sticks on the outside. There is a way that you can, I saw this lady doing it, weaving and creating kind of she was creating raised beds, but you can do it to create, like, I mean, just like this. So all I've done is it's not the cheats way, it's just an alternative way that I thought I want to stop the soil from running down, because this is just, as you can see, it's an incline. Yeah, so all the soil when it rains was just running down and then washing off over there into the well. So I've just been building up the sections so that when it rains the water stays there. And if it does, like in here, obviously it will, let's go around here, I'll show you what I've done. So I've been using the grass to mulch. Obviously this is dying away, but what it stopped happening, because this was all muddy, so it stopped that from happening, but you still need to continue to build it up with the grass. But in here I'd use shredded paper, and then I'd covered it with the grass. So again, it stopped the mud from running away, and it means that I can still walk here, and I've just got to cover this up. But it's just, you know, it's keeping the grass down. And where, like here, if I build up with the leaves, just like I've done here, this will kill off any grass that's going to grow. So that's the idea. And to build it up so that I can grow, things can grow without any fuss. No, anyway, yeah, so things can grow, and it just stops me having to weed, you know, because that can take quite a long time. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to shred some more paper, and I'm going to fill up the rest of these beds. When you shred it up, because it's smaller pieces, it's not going to run away. And I guess maybe if you you know, put whole sheets, actually that'll work. But I find you get more it's more compacted. So yeah, I could lay down sheets of paper, and I've laid down cardboard in some places. So let us go here. Lay down cardboard, and I only laid this down a few days ago, so it's going to take time before it, you know, it's saturated with the, well, it will dry out when the sun is here. But what I'll do is I'll put the grass down. We're due for a cut next week, so any grasses I can put down, and then also anything that I cut. So if there's any of the leaves left over, then I can cut those. So that's what I've done with the mahogany tree, and it gives you, it's made my studio so much brighter. It's so amazing. I didn't realize how much it was shading the studio. So what I just need to do is maybe just cut back some of this. This is not the mahogany tree. This is it's I keep calling it orange blossom, but the leaves smell like the orange blossom plant. So let me stand here, give you a good kind of preview. So look at my garden. It's like, oh my goodness. And I like these beds. I'm not keeping them all over, but in this particular section I'm keeping the beds. It's my lemon tree here, it's kind of growing. I had some spare papayas, and I put them here, and they're going to grow. So I'm going to have papaya trees here if the snails and slugs don't get to them. But I thought it'd be good to have them growing in another part of the garden. And yeah, so when you look, it's looking lush and green. Right here is my cassava. I've put cassava in the middle section and the end section. So things are kind of just growing, and I just need to cut them back. I've got basil growing here, it's flowering. But I decided that I didn't want them to flower. I mean, this has just kind of run away, because I just like using the basil, and it's not really grown from seeds for me. I had to buy a small plant which had about 5 or 6 plants growing in the pot, and I've just planted them out. So when I have to really kind of cut this back in the evening when the bee activity has stopped, because they love it. My lemongrass, I'll be able to get seeds from several of the plants. Look, they're all growing. These were quite small. Again, I went and brought a small plant. It was just one small plant, and I've been able to, it's like grown. I've been able to get 3 lots growing from it, and I'll be able to, as I say, harvest the seeds and see if I can grow them from seeds. As I say, the basil I've not had any joy from, but that's okay. I've got enough basil to last me. I've got the eggplant here growing. I planted this from seed, and it's taken, this has taken, let me see, because the first year it didn't grow. It looked like it was dying, and it's made a comeback. So what I've learned is I have to, when they come out, I can't let them get too big, because the snails and the slugs get them. And there's already been 3 which they've eaten from here, but it's got flowers on, so it looks like I'm going to be getting more. I didn't know it grew so wide. It's spreading, so I really want it just to be contained in that area. At the back here, I've got mango, I've got all my Mexican sunflowers, and I've got 3 moringa trees growing at the back here. I want to keep them kind of at a particular height. I only want one of the trees in this area to grow so tall, and I want these to kind of bush out a bit more. So I've got several growing here that I planted. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 in this particular area. So as you can see, they're all kind of poking their heads up at the top. So for me, it doesn't make sense to keep them so high, because I won't be able to harvest at the top. So I will allow them to bush out, and then continue to just kind of harvest the leaves and the trumpets. Is it trumpets? Drumsticks, that's it. My bird of paradise is doing really well. Everything seems to be doing really well. And as I say, I'm just keeping on top of, in the heavy rains, which we're coming towards the end of it, the soil all washes away. So now what I have to prepare for is the dry season. So I want to keep it, well mulched, so that the soil doesn't dry out.